Hi, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Knitted Diaries. My name is Inga Rós, and I live in Egilsstaðir, and that is a small town in East Iceland. So welcome, and thank you for so much for deciding to come and join me for a little while. Thank you if you're a new viewer who has decided to come and check me out for the first time, and also thank you for if you are a returning viewer and are coming to me again. I really appreciate it. Today is Sunday, the March 20th, and you can find me. I am inga.rose on Instagram, and I am Inga Rós U on Ravelry, and we have a Ravelry group. There is another group with the same name, so be sure to come into the right group. I'm sorry, when I started the podcast, I didn't do any research on the name on Ravelry. So there is another group, but it hasn't been active in many months. So hopefully that won't matter. So we have a small group. It is growing slow but steady. So please come and join us there, and hopefully we will have an active and a fun group when it's a little bit bigger. There is an introduction thread already and an ask away thread. So if you have any questions about me personally, or knitting, or crocheting, or Icelandic living, or anything, and I post them in there and I will answer them. I'm sorry, I'm glancing over to my computer. I am trying to be more organized when I'm talking. I usually, when I'm done filming and start editing, I realize that, oh, I wanted to say this and this and this, and I just, yeah. So I'm trying to be a bit more organized when I talk to you. And the first thing I'm going to say is a big thank you to Mina of the Knitting Expert. I realize many of you came from her show after she said so many nice things about me. So thank you, Mina. It really means a lot. And I also got an ear burn on Ravelry. I had been tagged in the Reluctant Sisters podcast. They mentioned me as well. And that is Sarah and Adrian. Adrian is the reluctant knitter, and Sarah is the reluctant podcaster. And they have a great sisterly bond and just are fun to watch. So go and check them out. Many of you, I have been seeing some comments with other podcasters in their groups. Many of you think that we are just name dropping and showing off how popular we are, being mentioned by other podcasters. But it's really, or I don't see it that way at least. I see it more as just to say thank you. When you're starting out, especially someone like me who is starting out and only has a few episodes, it really means a lot to have someone mention your name and steer people in your direction. And those people will then, of course, make their own decisions if they like you or not, but then the support and the recognition of what you are doing it really means a lot. So thank you, Sarah and Adrian and Mina. But this is a podcast about knitting and crocheting, and this one is also about some dyeing. So let's get to that. My finished objects from the last time, so in these 2 weeks since I recorded last time, I made, if you remember, I showed you this yarn the last time I filmed. Is cheapest cotton yarn, slightly tonal. So I made these two baby bibs. And this is a free pattern on Ravelry called Helgusmekkur. It's just a fun little project. And when I am finished with a couple of big projects like the baby blanket, the last time, and yeah, I like to just grab something quick and easy. And this is just the project for that. It takes maybe just one evening to make a bib like this. The pattern is in English, in Icelandic, but there is a chart. So if you are familiar crocheting from chart, you will have no problem doing this. Yeah, so I made two. The pattern calls for a button band, but I just make two strands like this, and this is just a chain of 60, and then I go back in each chain on the way down. And I usually prefer to have these strands instead of a button band. Yeah, these are made on hook number 3mm or 3mm hook. I also finished socks for August. This is Regia, Arne and Carlos, and these are just leftover yarn from the sock I made from Unnar. So it's really handy to have kits in all sizes and shape for using your leftover yarn. And I had the heel turned last time, so there wasn't very much to do. But I finished those, and I usually when I make socks, I have only made wool socks, so thick with always just probably worsted weight yarn. And then the toe is like this. I looked it up. It's called anatomical toe. You just keep casting off stitches until there are 4 left, and then you sew in each one and just pull close. And this is a very easy toe, and no Kitchener involved. Kitchener is not my friend. But having said that, I made socks for my husband, Atli, and I cast on 68 stitches with these, and I use a cast-on method called Estonian cast-on. It's really stretchy, but it doesn't flare, and it gives really, it holds them up, but it doesn't just go loose and drop down. This is my go-to cast-on for everything with a rib. If it's a hat or even a button-up cardigan or sweater, or anything with a rib, I use this cast-on. It's really good. These have a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and I did a Kitchener toe with this, and I found a really good tutorial on YouTube teaching me, because I was always getting this corners out of here, dog ears, someone called them, and this was a really nice tutorial, and now I don't have any dog ears on my socks. And I will put a link in the show notes for this video, or you can just look for it. It just says it's called Kitchener with no dog ears or something like that, I think, but I will put a link. Yeah, and the show notes are in the Ravelry group. So he was very happy with these. I haven't washed them, but all the ends are woven in and like that, so they're ready for the wash. that's it for finished objects. Then we can move on to works in progress, which are, I think I showed you the pattern for this in the last episode. It's the snowflake onesie. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry by Unnur Eva Arnarsdóttir. The pattern is in English, available in English. So, and this is camgarn. You start on the top, the top down, and you start with a 2.5mm needle and work back to front, and then you join in a circle and you work the pattern in. This method of having the smaller needles for the ribbing is something that I am very familiar with. Mostly all wool sweaters will be cast on with a smaller needle for the ribbing and then change to usually a half a size up when you get it to the body or your main knitting. Yeah, so this is the snowflake onesie, and I have done everything. I just have to finish the sleeves and the linings here with the leg opening and probably some snaps or something down here. And this is for my sister's baby, Hrafnhildur. That's my younger sister. I have one older sister, Lisa, and two younger, Hrafnhildur and Sigrún. And Hrafnhildur is pregnant, and this is going to be for her baby. And I showed her this pattern and asked her, what color would you like? White and grey. I swear I have the dullest sisters. I like to have my baby clothes in color, but this is her baby, so it's her choice. So grey it was, and white. And this is the traditional Icelandic 8-petal rose with just some accentuating down here. Yeah, so I am going to enter this in a card, in a knit along. It's the knit along in the Arctic Knitting podcast with Emily Björna. She is having a stranded knit along, so it's going to the end of March, which is just in 10 days. But I think I will have the sleeves and everything done by then. It's not that much to go. I was thinking I could make another one of these, and this is yarn from my dyeing experiments, and this is something I was thinking of using for the patterning or for the rose and the stranded knitting part. And it is camgarn, which I was just playing around with food color. So I don't remember if I showed you this. This is blues and pinks and variation of purple, and this is nice. I think it would be good fun to make another one and use this with white probably. So I might do that someday, not now. My next works in progress is has some part to do with acquisitions, because I went out and I bought these Knit Pro 2.5mm fixed circulars, and I also bought this yarn, which is Hedgehog sock yarn in the Crybaby colorway. And this is available in my local yarn store. and I am making socks. And these socks, I'm using, as I said, 2.5mm needles, and I'm using a pattern called Favorite Socks by Kristen of the Woolen Vine or Yarngasm podcast. This is her vanilla sock pattern, her go-to sock pattern, and these are the first socks are destined to go into my box of socks for her Carl. So I thought it would be nice to use her pattern. And look at this, it's beautiful. It's really a highlighter yellow and pink and green with spots of brown, and the base is kind of pink, and it's really soft. It's gorgeous. And I'm starting here on the heel flap. So this is also, I'm double dipping this. This is also going in the knit along for the reluctant sisters. And that's because there you are supposed to be knitting on something you are reluctant to start. Whether it's a yarn or a pattern or anything. And as I told you, maybe, I think it was the first show I did, I don't like doing the heel flap, but I thought I would give it another go. It's been a long time since I did it last time, and I think I have more experience doing this. So I'm trying it out. So I'm following her Kristen's pattern to the letters. Now, you may know that I am also knitting an Icelandic lopapeysa or a cardigan from Plötulopi, but I haven't really worked on it these past 2 weeks because I wanted to try to film myself knitting with Plötulopi and the stranded knitting and everything, and I haven't really gotten around or had a chance to do that. I think I may have to get a tripod, and I just haven't done that yet. So but I will try to do that before Easter, and then I can film myself knitting on that and show you what I'm doing. I also wanted to film when I stick it or when I cut it open. Yeah, so that's all for works in progress, and we are moving along to stash enhancement. I don't buy yarn that I don't have a project for. So yeah, having said that, there was a sale in the supermarket. The supermarket carries most Icelandic brands, and I got a few of these. This is Kamgard, and these are the colors I picked. One of them dropped on the floor. This dark gray, this fuchsia pink, I think it's called, and this apple green. Yeah. This is the lighter gray that just went to the floor, and I can't reach it. There was a 30% discount, so you just have to buy something with that discount. And there was a discount on needles too, so that's why I bought the Knit Pro needle, the circular needle. And I also I already showed you the hedgehog fiber. I bought that also last week for the socks. I talked about, no, I don't think I did. Maybe I did, I don't remember. But Mina, the knitting expert, was hosting a yarn swap, and my package arrived on Tuesday of last week, which is quite fast. It was mailed on the 7th and got here just a week later. So that was quite fast. And in it were these lovely mini skeins. And these are from Knitted Wit and are called gumballs. This is 100% superwash merino and 45 yards in each. And there were 2 of this green one. And the yarn she sent was this beautiful variegated. The base color is, I think, green or tonal green with a splash of color of purples and pink and hot fiery red. It's a DK weight and it's a 100% superwash merino. 4 ounces and 280 yards. Also in the package were these, and this is lip gloss. I haven't opened this because I wanted to show them to you. Also, there was this little notepad. The reading is, knitting is cheaper than therapy. And how true is that? And also, it all came in this little drawstring bag, showing the wool way from the sheep to the spinner and to the knitter. I think it's really cute. So thank you, Marilyn. I love it all. And I really hope your package will reach you soon. She promised to let me know when it arrived to her, because I filmed a little segment before I posted it, so I can show you what I sent to her. But since it hasn't arrived to her yet, you don't get to see it. Yesterday, I had I had told my husband that I wanted a day this weekend, either Sunday or Saturday, preferably Saturday, so the yarn would dye, and I did that. I didn't get the whole day, but I got something, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, because I was experimenting with black, and this is one of them. It's much darker. It's almost like charcoal or something. It's pretty solid color. Yeah, there it is. And it is just a normal. It's a 2% solution, saying that it is 2 grams of dye for the 100 grams of yarn. And this is pretty dark, but also not completely black. And then this is 1% solution, so 1 gram of dye in 100 grams of yarn. And this time I had less water in the pot, so this is more tonal, and of course a lighter color. And I really like this one. It's beautiful. Then I did some, not speckled, variegated, I think. And look, I absolutely love this one. It's just cream, or the base color, and this red, orange, and purple, and dark green. Yeah, that's almost black on the screen, but it is this dark teal color, and I absolutely love this one. And on this one I was trying to speckle and went a little bit overboard, I think. It has the same fiery, no, it has a more of a purple in it, but the same green. And then there was black speckling going on, but as I said, it went a little bit overboard. Mostly because my phone rang and I had to jump to get that. I was dying again in yesterday when Hjörtur was napping, so I didn't want the phone to ring very much to wake him up. But I'm very happy with this. And then it is just a long mess right now because I haven't skeined it up again, but this is going to be self-striping yarn, and this was not really about what colors to use, just the technique, if I could. So I'm trying to knit this up. It is supposed to be 4 rows of knitting for each color, and then it repeats again and again. So I'm very interested to know if I managed that. Maybe I will skein this up and cast it on next weekend, on Easter weekend. That was it for dyeing. I did one skein today. My husband was fixing his car all day and I was alone with the kids, so I wasn't able to dye as much as I wanted to, but that's okay. We can do that some other day. I did receive a question in the Ask Away thread, and that is a question from, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Swanee or Miss Swanee. Either way, it's Margaret in Greece, so hi Margaret, and thank you for your question. She wanted to know what I do for a living because I mentioned that I work full-time but didn't say what I do. So I have my bachelor's degree in business and I am an office manager at a law firm. The law firm is a national chain. I think there are almost 150 people working in this company all around the country, and in our office here in Eistar we are 8 people, a really good group, and yeah, it's a nice place to work. It's just an office job. Most projects that we do is just normal law work and debt collecting, and that is my main thing. I service our customers with their debts that they have to collect on their payers. It's not a very glamorous job or anything, but it pays the bills and I like it. But it it's not a very creative job or anything like that, so I need my knitting time. It's very therapeutic. Yeah, that's almost it for me this weekend, but someone else asked me, it was a comment on a YouTube, on the YouTube channel, and I couldn't find it, so I'm sorry I don't have your name to thank you for your question, but the question was, how did I learn to knit, or how I knit? Almost all Icelanders, or everybody I know at least, we are continental knitters. So we hold our yarn in our left hand and knit with the right. I think I'm not on the same caliber as Mina, but I think I'm fairly fast. Yeah. I'm a rather tight knitter, so I prefer knitting backwards. I don't like to turn if there is only purling. If you're doing a stockinette stitch and you have the purl on the wrong side, I don't like doing that. I think it messes up my gauge. It usually evens out when I wash the piece, but I like to knit backwards, and that's when I flick like Mina. Again, not as fast as she does, but I do that. I continue holding the yarn in my left hand and flick the needle. I can film a video if you like of me knitting, and then I can show you this backwards method. This is not something I invented by far, and there are tutorials on YouTube on how to do this, both for continental knitters and English knitters as well. So I will find a tutorial and link in the show notes for you if you are interested in checking that out. But how I learned to knit? Well, my mom is a big knitter, huge knitter. She is always knitting something, and she has a big chest just full of socks and mittens. So if my sisters and I don't feel like, well, we really don't, well, they don't knit at all, but if I don't feel like knitting socks or mittens, I can just let them loose in that chest and they will pick out something that they can have, because it's full of mittens and socks and some other goodies as well, just mostly those. And she taught me how to knit. I don't remember how old I was, but I do remember the first garment I knitted. I was 12 and my oldest sister Lisa was pregnant and was going to have a little girl. So I made a cardigan, a small baby cardigan with this pattern here, this 8-petal rose, and probably something similar to this. I don't remember. There is a picture of it at my mom's house. I can probably get that and show you. And that was, I'm pretty proud of myself for doing that. I was only 12. Granted, I didn't finish it. I did the body and all the work. I did the body and the sleeves, but I didn't have the patience to put it all together and making the button bands. So I think it was Lisa's mother-in-law that finished it for me. Yeah, at least it got finished and the baby was wearing it and looked really cute in it. But Icelandic kids are also taught how to knit in school, and all from first grade they are taught something. Like August is now in first grade, and he came home the other day with some beadwork he was doing, just like a necklace or something, but on the end it had a little felted ball on them, and that was something they did in textile class. So in textile class they learn to felt and they learn to cross stitch and sew and knit. My Unnar, my 12-year-old, is now knitting a hat, and that is stranded. So yeah, we all learn, probably some more than others, but at least it is introduced to us in school. You can choose, well, you take all of them throughout the year, but you can choose where you start. You can choose to start in textiles, where you sew and knit and felt and other textile work, and you can go to a woodshop class, and you can go to, I do not know the English word for this, but it is called myndbent in Icelandic, and that is where you learn all about color and drawing and painting with all kinds of paints, was watercolors and text, acrylic paint and everything. So usually if you are interested in something of these, and of course the projects develop along with the age of the kids, and this is something you do every year. Yeah, I think I really like that. And on that topic, I'm going into my 2 weeks in review and some personal stuff. And it's on direct. Now I'm losing my English. Yeah, it's to continue I was talking about schools and teaching our kids how to knit in school. My friend Esther and I went to Hallormsstaður, which is a forest, and there is a school called Handavinnu og Húsmæðraskólinn. Try saying that. But it's a crafting school, and it used to be called just Hússtjórnarskólinn, which would translate just as housewife school or something like that. This is a school that was founded in November 1930, and this is where young women would go. I think it was the year they would, or the winter they would turn 20 and stay there for a whole winter. It's a boarding school. And there they would learn how to cook and clean and knit and sew and weave. And this school is still running. It has changed, of course, but it's still a boarding school, and it also still teaches these subjects. But it is only a semester now, and it is I don't know how many students there are. There is room for 22. I think there is usually about 15 of them. There is another school like this in Reykjavik called Hússtjórnarskólinn in Reykjavik just. And last week, my friend and I, it had an open house where it was showing off. Oh, you can walk around the school and talk to the kids and ask them what they were doing and things like that. And then they offered you some coffee and cake. So we went to check it out. And I took some pictures. So I'm gonna put them in the back of the show, and show you the school itself and a little bit of Esther has a small dog, which we took with us, and we went on a short walk around the area. And for those of you who have traveled to Iceland and only stayed on the south part of it, in Reykjavik, or maybe traveled in Þingvellir or Gullfoss and Geyser and around there, you may have noticed that there is not a forest in South Iceland, because that is all here with me. So and in the north, in around Akureyri is a forest also. But those who are driving from the airport in Keflavik to Reykjavik, many of them have described the landscape as similar to being on the moon. There you can see, as far as I can see, there is not a one tree anywhere, and that's just because of the lava field. There is a lava field on that road, but nothing like that here with me. So I have the trees and the beautiful landscape. Not that over there is not beautiful, but mine is still better. And now you can fly directly to Egilsstaðir from London. So check that out if you are interested. I knew there was a picture of my mom in that school on a wall somewhere. So I really looked for it, and I finally found it. So the picture of the woman you see is my mom when she was 20 years old in that school. So stay tuned for that, because she was a babe. Sorry about that. We just got interrupted as my husband was trying to sneak in here to check if I was finished. I banished him to the garage, and he was checking if I was done, which I am almost done. I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you like what you see and want to continue following along with me, and come and join in the Ravelry group. I am starting to wonder what I can do for a knit-along. There are really many knit-alongs right now, so I'm not going to start anything at least not until April sometime, maybe. But I'm thinking of what I can do. So if you have any ideas, please send me a message on Ravelry, or just comment on the thread I will make for this show. And yeah, thank you again. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.